If you've got a legal question for Charlie O'Hara, give us a shout right now. The number to call is 436-1212. Welcome back to Eyewitness News this morning. Like I said, Charlie's in the studio here to answer your legal questions. We do have a caller on the line right now. So caller, if you're there, go ahead now with your question for Charlie. Caller, if you're there, go ahead now with your question.
Yes. We live at a mobile home park, and we don't have individual water meters, and our new landlord decided to charge us all for water, but there's no way to know how much anybody owes, so he's just going it by like two people or one person, or is that legal?
Well, I mean, as I've said before on this show, any time that you make an agreement with a landlord to do something that's generally governed by the contract that you have. Now, they can't take advantage of someone. I don't know what the circumstances are there. If he or she has a big water bill coming in, and they've decided to divide it equally between all the units or all the lots, they probably can do that if it's agreed to in the contract. I don't know what's agreed to in the contract. I would say that you probably ought to read the contract and see if you're supposed to pay for water and things like that. If you're not supposed to pay for water, they can't just change it because they have a new owner. They have to pick up the old contract. So you're going to have to check with that. But depending on how you could do it, it could be legal. It depends on the circumstances.
That's an interesting one. Just a reminder to definitely read through anything before you sign it, especially if it's a place where you live and it comes to charges and things like that.
Well, and people tend to think things are unfair, and the contract, but it's governed by the contract.
Right.
If you signed it, and that's what it says, you're kind of stuck with it. So
yeah,
you need to be a little careful.
We do have another caller on the line, so go ahead now with your question for Charlie. Caller, if you're there, go ahead now with your question.
Yes. Is it my turn?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. I have recently moved my mom here from another state. She's 90-some years old. She has Alzheimer's. Going through her papers, I discovered she has not filed taxes, and I don't know when. I can't even find any proof that she's filed taxes within the last maybe 5-6 years. What should I do?
Well, number one, you've got to earn enough money to actually owe taxes. So if you haven't earned enough money, even though you haven't filed, you don't owe them, so it's not that big a deal. I would advise you to go to some kind of a tax preparer or a CPA and go through that and see exactly what you need to do to get everything straight. I mean, it's probably best to get it straight. You don't want her to get in any trouble with the federal government. So the best thing to do is go to somebody that knows what they're doing, and they can advise you. I don't think it's probably going to be real expensive unless she has a huge estate and it needs to be straightened out.
That's interesting, though, if we only have a couple seconds left here. If somebody becomes the caretaker of the person and then taxes still aren't being filed, does that liability fall on the caretaker?
It really doesn't, no. It's on the person that owes the taxes.
Okay, that's an important thing to note there. Thanks so much for being on here today, Charlie. Appreciate it. Thanks for your calls. We're going to take a quick break. We're back in just a moment.